Hi. How are you guys? It's been a second. I know I'm giving you a millennial side part. I'm giving y'all millennial side part, but it's been a while since I've gotten my hair done, so I can't do middle part right now. Hi. I haven't been on here in a second. Good morning. Hi. Hi. I thought that I would talk about. Hi, England. Hi. Hi. Oh, thank you. I am. I am feeling better. You guys, it was bad. Oh, also, I feel like I haven't posted on Instagram that I got a COVID test and my COVID test came back negative. So I don't have COVID. I just have a regular cold. Hi. All right. So this is the first day in a long time where I'm feeling like a human, where I feel like, oh, okay, I'm cute. All right, so I just thought, because I haven't come on here in a while, that I would come on here and talk about the events of the last week and what I've learned and what I've gained, and I feel really good. So people know that have been living in Dallas since June of last year. And I've been saying that I was going to move to Dallas for so freaking long, for so long. And I just never made it happen. I love a regular goal. Early morning trapping. Yes. We love a before 9 a.m. thirst trap. Uh, I am. So I live in Dallas, and you know what's so funny is I live in Dallas and Oklahoma. I have apartments in both places, and a few months ago there was a really bad storm in Oklahoma. Um, Anytime there is sleet or snow or whatever, like things just shut down where I'm from. So I grew up in Texas and Oklahoma. And a few months ago, there was a sleet storm in Oklahoma, and my Oklahoma apartment didn't have power for a week. You know, like they would send me the text messages and be like, we're trying to get to it and all that. And I was like, girl, what the fuck is up with Oklahoma? Like, y'all have people out here without power for 7 whole days? Like, that's crazy. Like, that would never happen. Like, I'm so glad I moved and all of this kind of stuff. And so a couple of weeks ago, my sister called me a week and a half ago. My sister called me and she was like, do you watch the news? Like, are you stocked up? Are you prepared? And I was like, no. Like, no. Because this was a few days before Valentine's Day and I was only focused on that. And I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And and I looked at the forecast and I saw that there was going to be some snow that weekend, over the weekend of Valentine's Day, and I was like, I'll make it. You know, I have some lean cuisines in the freezer, and I have applesauce and Jello and water and all that. Like, I'm not gonna, no, because it's Dallas. Like, it'll last a couple of days and I'll be fine. I was just focused on like, what am I gonna wear for Valentine's Day, and like, what are my shoes gonna look like, and you know, and all that kind of stuff, right? And then that weekend came and the weather came, and it was snow, more snow than I've seen in a long time. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, it's cute, it's whatever. Like, I'll just stay inside and like be cozy. And then there was more ice and snow, and I was like, oh, it's getting bad. And then I went to sleep on Sunday and I woke up on Monday and I noticed that I plugged in. I just so happened to talk to my nieces on Sunday night, Valentine's Day. And they were talking about, yeah, like mommy told us that we need to charge up all of our electronics. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll charge up my laptop and my phone, like just in case, like whatever. Not thinking anything would happen. So I plugged in my electronics and I woke up on Monday morning and I was like, why is this not charged? I was like, why is my phone not charged? Why is my laptop not charged? Like they're plugged in. And I realized like, oh, the power was out. And then the power came on for a couple of hours that morning. And I was like, okay, like we're good again. And then the power went off. And then when the power went off the second time, I looked at the weather and I was like, oh, it's like 5 degrees outside. It's like, and like the real feel is like negative. And I was like, okay, like this is not good. But I thought, oh, I'm just going to wait it out, Because like how long is the power going to be out? I've had power outages here before and there was like a couple of hours. And the messages from the power company was like rolling outages. It's just going to be a couple of hours. Hold on. And I was like, wait, that's fine. Like, I'll hold on. Like, it's not that big of a deal. The sun was shining and I have really big windows here. And so the sun was shining and I was like, it's warm right now. I'm not really pressed about it. And then hours went by and I was like, why is the power not on? The power's not on. But I wasn't concerned because I was like, rolling outages, whatever. And then my mom called me. And she was like, okay, I'm going to go to my sister's house, my aunt's house. And because the power's out where I live, so where are you going to go? And I was like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, it's warm where I am. The sun is shining. I know it's really cold outside, but I'm fine. I have enough food for like a couple of days. And she was like, you don't understand. She was like, I'm not sure if you're understanding that when the sun goes down, it's going to be a completely different story. Because in my mind, I was worried because my phone wasn't all the way. Like, honestly, like millennial Kim, internet addicted Kim, I was worried trying to save my phone battery because I was like, let me just keep enough phone battery so that when the sun goes down, like I'll just go to sleep. I thought, okay, I'll just be on my phone and like read and like write or whatever. And this will be like great. It'll be like old times when we didn't have the internet and then when the sun goes down, I'll just go to sleep. I'll just go to sleep at 8:00 and wake up the next day and the power will be back on. And after I had that conversation with her where she was like, you don't want to be with no power when it's -15, when the wind chill is -15. Like, you don't understand. Like, I don't know what was going on in my mind, but I was like, it'll be fine. But after and also I will say that I'm afraid to drive. Like, I'm a bad driver. I'm afraid to drive in sleet, snow. I don't like to drive when it's raining outside. So that was also motivating me to be like, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to risk it because there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches of snow. And so it's like, I'm not going to drive. Like, because every time that I've driven in bad weather, I get in a car accident. Every single time. Okay. But then after having that conversation with my mom, I was like, oh, I actually don't know what it's going to be like when the sun goes down and we're in negative. I don't know. I don't even know. I lived in Boston for 4 years for college, and I'm not even sure if I experienced that cold there. So she's right. Like, I actually don't know what it's going to be like when the sun goes down. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make it. So then I decided, okay, I looked around and called around hotels. And like by this time I was calling hotels and the hotels were booked. And as I was calling hotels, just to see if they had power, because I wasn't sure. And I was getting nervous because I was like, oh, all of these hotels are booked. Like, that's a bad sign. It's a bad sign. Okay. So I found a hotel that was a mile and a half away from me, and they had openings, or they had vacancies. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just go there. You know, because I was trying to go like the fancy ones. I was like, oh, we'll make this a staycation. And then I was calling like the fancy hotels, and they were like, no. And like when I was calling the fancy hotels and they didn't have, I was like, oh, okay. Because by this time it was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And the power had been out since, I don't know, 9 in the morning. For me, like, because I had from 7 to 9, I had power. Like, all night I didn't have power. And then from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I had power. And then the power went out after that. Okay. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was able to go on the internet, or on my phone. I used like Priceline and like found the nearest hotel that had a vacancy. And then I just booked it or whatever. Because I was like, oh, okay, I just booked it. So then I get to the hotel. And so then I'm driving, because I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I have to drive. I'm going to get into an accident. Like, I don't want to, and it's cold outside. And by the way, going to my mom's house or my sister's house was or my aunt's house where my mom was staying, out of the question, because they live 30-40 miles away. Like, no, I'm not driving on icy roads, snow roads, 40 miles. Kimberly can't do that. Okay. Because like on a good day, it's bad for me. So I can't do that. So I said, okay. So the hotel that I went to was a mile and a half away, 6-minute drive. And that 6 minutes, I was like, ugh. And I was driving like 15 miles an hour, like tops 15 miles an hour, like so slowly. I don't care. Drive around me, honk if you have to. I'm not getting in an accident. I'm not doing it. I've been here before, literally totaled multiple cars before in icy roads. It's not for me. And you know, in Texas, they're not really treating the roads. We don't have huge salt trucks. Like, there's just not an infrastructure for this kind of severe weather. So I'm going slow. Like, that 6-minute drive took me like 20 minutes. So I finally get to the hotel, which is a mile and a half away, and I see that the parking lot is crazy. And I'm like, oh my God, there are so many people here. And I was like, oh, I'm like, everybody, I'm late. So I park, and I go into the hotel. It's so dark. It's a huge hotel. It's so dark. It's a little cold, you know, and I'm seeing people, and then I have to like walk around to try to find like the desk or whatever. And then I see the line to check in. The line is so long. It's so long. Okay. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, at least I got there before 5 or something. At least I got here before the sun goes down. Because, you know, when the sun goes down, the roads are going to refreeze and all of that. Like, I'm here. I know for sure that I have a room because I booked it. And so I get in line. And, you know, there's a couple of anti-maskers, people not wearing masks in the line. I'm just trying to keep to myself. I'm by myself. And this is when I realized, look, I had a couple of times when I realized, like, oh, okay, I see why people be partnered now. Because I was like, oh, I'm literally like, it's just on me. Like, it's like, I have to take care of myself. It's just me. Like, oh my God. All right. So I'm in line and just waiting, you know, waiting. It takes me an hour to get, like, I'm standing in line for an hour until I get there. But as I'm in line, the line gets so long. It gets so long. If you follow me on IG stories, you saw that it was like snaking around, like wrapping around multiple times. So I stood in line for an hour. to get to the front to get my key and get my room. And it's so cold in the lobby too. Like it's it's cold outside, okay? Like nobody is prepared for this kind of cold, okay? But by the time that I like get to the front, the line is 3 times as long as when I arrived. So I'm sure that there are people there who stood in line for 2.5 hours, 3 hours just to get to the front of the line. I stood in line for an hour. Like that is crazy. Like that's crazy. Okay. Sorry, still a little sick. Okay. So I get to the front of the line and there's no computers. Nobody's, and I'm like, okay. She literally has a like printout of the vacancies, and she's like writing down my name and like crossing out, and I'm like, is this not automated? Or I guess they couldn't keep up with it. And then they also didn't have room keys. And this is like a big hotel. I mean, it's a Hilton, like a huge Hilton in Dallas. And so they were like, we can't print keys right now. So I'm going to write down your room number and like and have one of the custodial staff escort you to your room. So no room keys. Literally, we're using the honor system here where she wrote down the room number on the official like little hotel pad and was like, this is your room. Okay, but at the same time, it's like, I have nowhere else to go. So I was like, okay, fine. And so I, go to the elevator and go up and have a nice woman like let me in. They use the master key to let me into the room, and I get in the room and it's so cold. It's so cold in that room, and I'm trying to turn up the heat, and the heat is not turning up, and I'm hungry at this point. And I'm like, oh shoot. So after I've stood in line for an hour, it's dark, so I can't leave because I'm not driving when it's dark outside. On a good day, I don't like to drive in the dark, to be honest. Okay. And so I'm like, oh my God, like I have to find food. Like, how am I going to do this? And so they have like a little bar or whatever. So then I go downstairs to stand in line for the bar, and like they have chips and bagels and muffins and like juice or whatever, like hot cans of pop or hot cans of soda, whatever your regional accent tells you that it's called. And so I'm standing in line for like another 45 minutes to get to the front of the line to get a bag of chips and a chocolate chip muffin. So like that's what I ate that day. And I didn't even eat the whole chocolate chip muffin because it didn't taste good. So I had like a bag of chips that day. And I was like, okay, but by the way, right? Like I'm telling this story, but I was lucky. Like the fact that I could even leave my apartment. And by the way, if you followed me on IG stories, you also saw that in my apartment, there's huge windows. So it was really bright. But by going through the hallways, it was so dark. Everything was dark. It was dark and it was cold. So I was like trying to use my little flashlight to get out of my apartment to get to the car. But lots of people stayed because they don't have anywhere to go. You have to have extra money to be able to afford a hotel. You have to have a car to be able to drive somewhere. I mean, I had an experience, and my experience is the privileged experience. So many people did not have this stuff. And there was no guidance. We were getting no updates from the power company. They were giving us the runaround, like rolling outages. Ted fucking Cruz was on a plane to Cancun at the time, Texas senator. Greg Abbott, the governor, not giving any kind of directions. Like it was so literally, I told my friends last night, Hunger Games shit. It was the craziest thing in the world. When I was in that hotel lobby and saw hundreds of people waiting in line. The computer's not working. They're not able to give keys. They don't know who I am. They don't know who I am. It was like, where do we live? You know, and then I'm in line to get food, to get rations, okay? And they're like, we can't accept cash, and the credit card machines aren't working. So, you know, again, like more Scouts honor, right? We're using the honor system. So hopefully you give us the right room number and we can charge it. Never got charged to my room number. Okay. So I get my little chips, and then the hotel internet's not working, but I'm trying to get I uploaded the Malcolm and Marie video on Monday. So I finally was able to get the Malcolm and Marie video uploaded by using my phone hotspot. Used up all my data. AT&T is like, sis, like, this is not gonna work. But I did finally get it uploaded, and it's so cold. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, and thankfully I wore my fleece lined leggings and my fake Uggs, and I literally get in bed fully clothed, Uggs on. I go into the closet and get out the extra blanket, trying to, you know, like, cause I'm so cold. It's freezing. The heat is not working. And so I finally, you know, decide to go to sleep, and I wake up the next morning and I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling really bad and sick. But I'm like, by this time, this is Tuesday morning, I wake up and I'm like, surely the power is back on. Like, it's gotta be. Okay. So I come back to the apartment, the power is not on, and the water is not working. And I'm like, oh, okay. And while I was at the Hilton, I had the thought of like, okay, why don't we just book a hotel for the next night, just in case, you know, just in case. But then I was like, well, I don't want to waste money, you know, like, let's not book it until I know for sure that the power is not back on, because I wanted to come back here. Huge mistake. I should have gone with my first mind. So I come back here, walk around. Oh, no. Actually, I come back here. There's gates to get in here. The gates won't even open. My controller won't even open the gates because the power is not on. And I have so I packed. I literally packed like 1 day's worth of clothes, a couple of bras, like some lingerie, just in case I wanted to take like because, you know, can be thirst trapping. Just in case I wanted to thirst trap in the hotel, like nothing. You know what I'm saying? I have not even like full skincare, no makeup, you know, like nothing. And I can't even get back in the building because everything is keyless. And so I was like, oh. So, you know, I'm already freaking out because I'm having to drive way more than I want to. And driving through residential streets and stuff is even worse. So this is at 2:00 on Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, let's find a hotel for the next couple of days. So I pull over and I get on my phone and I go to Priceline. And I'm looking through the hotels, and everything is booked. Everything is booked. It's 2 p.m. Everything is booked. And I'm extending the radius 10 miles, 15 miles, and like literally everything within a 50-mile radius of this apartment was booked. Somebody said, apocalyptic thirst trapping. Well, I have an audience, you know, I have to appeal to the audience. Okay, anyways. So, So I'm looking, and like literally everything is booked, and I'm starting to freak out, like, oh crap. But again, I am thankful. I mean, I'm fortunate because I'm like, oh, I have people that I can go to. I just don't want to drive on the highway. So I call my sister. She still has power. She lives 35 miles away. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go there. And I have to like get the nerve and the courage up to drive on the highway. I drive a little sedan. You know, that's the other thing. I'm going to get a new car. That's the other thing. Every fucking person in fucking Texas drives an SUV. Like, this is actually a big problem for the environment, by the way. SUVs and these huge trucks, you know, like people who don't need them. But I realized like that if you ever like have bad weather, like it's useful to have an SUV or whatever. I drive a sedan. And I was worried because the last car that I drove was rear wheel drive, and like that is the worst. Okay, in snow or whatever, like rear wheel drive, like your shit is stuck. Okay, the new car that I bought last year is front wheel drive, which is a little better. It was a little better for me. So I decide, okay, I'm just going to drive. I'm going to make it. And I'm like so scared. I'm like freaking out trying to drive. It's so cold outside. I don't have anything. I have nothing. And so I do drive, and it takes me like, it will usually take me maybe like 30, maybe 40 minutes to get there. It takes me like an hour and 15 to get there because I'm going so slow. And then I'm also scared. The other reason why I'm scared to drive on the highway was last week, the week before last, when the initial bad weather started to happen here, there was a huge, in Fort Worth, not far from where my mom lives, a huge 100 car pileup. 100 car pileup car crash because of the sleet. Like, the roads get so bad. And 5 people died. Dozens of people had to go to the hospital. And I'm having that in the back of my mind of, I'm already a bad driver. I don't know, the rest of these people are bad drivers. The huge trucks are still driving. I have a little car, and I'm just so paranoid that something's gonna happen. I'm gonna lose control and, you know, die like like on an icy highway. So anyways, I'm driving, and I finally get there, and I get to my sister's house. And by the way, I'm already starting to feel sick at this time, and it's fine. And great, and it's great, and she has power, and it's but you know, by this time, this kid's there, and I love my nieces, but like, I was just so drained, and I was tired, and I was cold, and I was feeling sick, and I just couldn't even, it's just a lot. It was just a lot going on there. But again, thankful, right? Like, everybody doesn't have a sister's house to go to. Everybody doesn't have, a car. Like, this is huge. Like, again, enormously privileged. So I'm there, I sleep in my niece's bedroom, and, I wake up the next day on Wednesday, and I'm like, oh, I'm sick. It's like, oh, I'm sick. And my mom has decided to go to my sister's house too, right? So I'm in the house with my sister, my 2 nieces, my mom, it's me, and I wake up on Wednesday, and I'm like, oh, I'm sick. And I walk out into the living room, and I'm like, I don't want to alarm anyone, okay? I don't want to alarm anyone, but I'm sick. And so it's like, okay, well, you need to stay in the room. And I'm like wearing a mask while walking around this house, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I have COVID, and my mom is here. My sister already had COVID, but, you don't want to give it to, we don't know how long the antibodies last. And so I'm just sick, and I'm feeling so bad. So I'm in a twin bed. I'm in my sister's room, my sister's home, in my niece's room, in a twin bed, dying, so sick. Have not felt this sick in years. Throat scratchy, head hurts, fatigue. I have a migraine. All of this, like, part of my head was like throbbing. My eyes were hurting, chills, body aches, like I'm laid out, okay? And like trying to keep it together because like my nieces like want to play, but I'm like, I'm sick. Like I'm sick. So I'm laying there and, a couple of days go by because I knew I was going to have to stay there for a couple of days because there's more snow. So on Tuesday night or Wednesday, there was more snow. So snow on top of snow. That's already there. So I stayed there for 2 days, and then Thursday comes, I'm still feeling bad. And I thought, oh, certainly by now there's power. And then I, text somebody and they're like, no power, no water. This is Thursday. I left on Monday. No updates. Okay. And by now, and I was so, how I already feel about Ted Cruz. And then there's like, then I see like Ted Cruz was like on the plane to Cancun, and then he got shamed, and then he decided to come back. And I'm like, people are dying. People are freezing to death in their homes. There's no updates. Like, it is the craziest shit in the world. And then I'm seeing all of these things on Twitter and social media where people's pipes are bursting. Their homes are flooding. It's 0 degrees outside. People are dying in fires. They don't have food. Like, what is like, there's not only is there no infrastructure, no planning, there's no help. People can't, like, it's the craziest thing and I'm like, okay. And again, and by the way, I'm just taking care of me, like I only have me to take care. Like I cannot even imagine what is happening if you have children that you have to take care of. You have to entertain them and make sure that they eat and they're warm and like it is insane. Okay. So it's Thursday and I get the text that the power is still not back on. But thankfully, on Tuesday when I first got to my sister's house, I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to need this, but I'm just going to book a hotel just in case for Thursday, Friday, because I don't know, Thursday, Friday, through the weekend. Like I'm just going to book it just in case. And if I don't need it, it's whatever. I won't, but I did not expect to have to use it. So I drive back to Dallas, come here, still no power, still can't get in the building. And I'm like, okay, well at least, and I can't drive the 35 miles back. I cannot drive the 35 miles back. It's too much. So I was like, okay, at least I had the foresight. Thank goodness I had the presence of mind on Tuesday to book a hotel for Thursday. So I go to the hotel. The hotel is like barely functioning. There's nobody there. It was a nice hotel. But they're still not functioning. There's no food. It was nice. I mean, it was much more comfortable. But I'm sick at this time. By the time I get to the hotel, I'm sick. Like, it's like I have not been this sick in not during the Trump administration. Like, I literally cannot remember the last time where I was like, I'm not making it. Like, I'm not doing well. I can't. And then I have to, like, get my own medicine. And literally, I was literally like, and, people are, and by the way, I have to say that I am financially, really blessed to be able pay for things and all of that. But the generosity that so many people showed me, do you need this? Like, what can I do for you? How can I help? And it's like, you can't help, like that's the thing, right? I have such a great village. So many people checked up on me. So many people were like, what do you need? What can I do for you? You can't help, you guys. Like, it's like the state has failed, right? And by the state, I mean, all levels of government has failed. There's no help. You can't help me, And like, there is a point where like literally hundreds of people, like The man who, I'm sick. The man who broke up with me in November was like, I'll fly down there and take care of you. What, sir? No, you stay where you are. You can't help. There's no help. Like, we're all literally, like, did you see, there was a mayor of some really small city in Texas who was like, you guys just have to, the state doesn't owe you anything. You don't get any handouts. Like, literally, that was it. Like, it's literally everybody fending for themselves. How are you going to get food? I don't know. Figure it out. Like, where are you going to go? I don't know. Figure it out. The pipes burst in your apartment. Like, what are you going to do? I don't know. Figure it out. Like, that's literally what it was. Okay. So anyway, so I'm so sick. I'm trying to figure out, like, what medicine do I need to get? I'm getting the medicine. And just like laid out in the hotel, and I was like, oh my God, like, God damn, like I should have got married when I had the chance. Literally, it is a lot, like having to take care of yourself. I am not a strong Black woman. I am not. So anyways, I'm sick, like sicker than I've been in a long time. And, just trying to take my Sudafed and like just be knocked out, and people are checking on me and calling, and I'm just like miserable. And Friday, I get myself together to go do a drive-through COVID test. And I get the COVID test, and, they're like in their PPE, and they're like, doing the thing. And first of all, I will say I felt good because he was like, wow, you made that look easy. And I was like, oh, thank you so much, because he's like sticking, the COVID test is so invasive. And so I'm like, oh my God, I have COVID. Like, I'm worried, like I've infected my mom with COVID and now she's going to die. Like, I'm like having all of these thoughts, and like, and it was just the craziest thing. But anyways, then I get I'm there, and I'm trying to get updates about what's going on here. And then I decide to come back. I'm still checked into the hotel, but the hotel literally is like, I don't know, half a mile away from my apartment. And I decide to go back just to check, like, the water's not on. The water's still not on. The power's on, but the water's still not on. A week later, like, we're at Friday, Saturday at this point. So I'm still in the hotel, and I'm still feeling bad. And then not until Saturday night do I feel like, oh, I'm back. I'm texting, I'll be texting with like gentleman callers and stuff. And I was like feeling flirty again. And I was like, okay, I'm back. But, like that was it. And then I came back here yesterday, and everything was back pretty much. I have to throw out everything in the refrigerator. And the internet still wasn't on, but I was like, that's the least of your worries, whatever. But it's back on today. And now we're here a week later. And like, finally, things are back. Things are settled. The internet is back working. Have heat, have power, have water. But it was just like such a crazy week. And, again, like I am seeing all of these stories about people who have died, people who froze to death in their beds, like children who died of hypothermia. Like, many people, particularly disabled people, rely on power to keep themselves alive, rely on power for their oxygen machines, or like whatever. Or I saw a story about a man who died because he couldn't drive to his dialysis appointments. I mean, like, this is real. We're talking about real failures on multiple levels, right? It's federal, it's state, it's municipal. There's no planning. And me, I don't watch the news. I don't pay attention to it. That's not my job. That's not my job. It is actually not my job to make sure that millions of people are safe. But the people who have the power, right? The people who really make these decisions that are literally life and death decisions for millions of people in this state, completely abdicated their responsibilities, completely failed. And you know what's so crazy to me? It is so crazy to me that we're going to go through this thing, which is, the failure of the power grid in Texas is fundamentally about deregulation, right? It is fundamentally about the privatization of structures that we all depend on and rely on every day. If we're really going to talk about tax dollars and the taxpayer and what citizens deserve, if we are paying, right, like if we are contributing and paying this money, right, like citizens deserve an infrastructure that can support them through any kind of weather event, right? Like climate change is not a surprise. And these kinds of extreme weather events, they're extreme weather events because we're not used to them, but they're going to become increasingly more common. It's not a surprise. So there is really no excuse for why turbines are not weatherized, for why we have not diversified the kinds of power sources across this state, for why the Texas power grid is not connected to the national power grid. It's all about greed. It's about privatization and the people. And, I also saw this thing where, an executive at a power company was like, this has been a boom for us. We've made so much money. Yes. Like, this is what, y'all, and this is the thing that I'm trying to get at, right? What's so unfortunate is so many people have died and suffered needlessly over this past week. And so many of those people who have suffered needlessly are going to continue to vote for policies and continue to support politicians that aid their suffering, that are invested in their suffering because it enriches them. Like, that is the crazy thing. Like, we need a robust state. We need a robust government. And I understand, right? Like, government is not efficient or whatever. But, like, we can't make our own electricity. Okay? We can't. I can't make my own water. I don't have a well. Okay? I can't clear my own roads. Okay, that stuff is the responsibility of the state. And so if we don't have people in charge who believe in investing in the public, in investing in infrastructure, it's going to keep happening. And so seeing these people who are dying and suffering, and they're going to keep voting for that shit, that is the stuff, right? Ted Cruz was like, oh, I'm getting the fuck out. I'm getting out. It's going to take a lot for Ted Cruz to lose in 2024. Like, that shit is crazy to me. It is crazy. And this stuff is going to keep happening. A couple of months ago when I was like, what the fuck is happening in Oklahoma? Like, what are y'all? It's going to keep happening. And not just in Texas. All across the country, these extreme weather events are going to keep happening. So what is the plan? And the plan cannot be charity. I tweeted, like, I think it's so great that Beto and AOC and, like, progressives, liberals and in the federal government, that they have organized these drives and, organized these donations. The AOC said, oh, we've raised $3 million or $4 million. That's cool. Great. I'm glad. That's not it. Charity is not going to get it. $3 million, we're talking about billions of dollars of investments that need to be made. It's the responsibility of the state. So yes, it actually does bother me that the best that people in the federal government can do is to raise money, to pass around basically an altered GoFundMe, to raise money for some. You're the government, you guys. Y'all not gonna call a special session? Y'all not gonna pass some appropriations? I understand that, FEMA is, a mess. Okay, it's a mess. It is. But like, the fact that the only thing that the government can do efficiently is fund war. The only thing that the government can do efficiently is send out some drones. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. Okay. Yeah. Even $3 or $4 million is chump change. It's not sustainable. And the other thing about this whole like charity stuff, like I believe in mutual aid. Somebody was like, mutual aid is fine. Mutual aid is fine. I believe in mutual aid. I've given to 3 or 4 mutual aid organizations over the past week. I'm a private citizen. We should not be relying on private citizens to fund the government's failures. We don't live in an anarchist state. Like, what? We should not be relying on private citizens who are already stretched thin. Again, I am a privileged person and I was worn the fuck out. Okay? I was like at my wit's end by the end of last week. So people who are already struggling, who've only gotten, $1,200 or whatever from the government over the past, or I don't know, how much is the supplementary benefits? Not enough. Who are still waiting on their survival checks. We're relying on those people to give $20, $30, $100 to these charity funds. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And yeah, I do have a problem with public elected officials coming to ask private citizens for money in what is a complete and total failure of the state. I do have a problem with that. That's what we've been seeing this entire pandemic, and then it's like the billionaires, Oprah asking you to give $30, give $100, ma'am. Anyways. Okay. The U.S. is only a few steps ahead of my country when it comes to privatization, and it's scary because we know this is the trend that's going to continue. Yeah. We need to tear this shit down, period. Literally, other countries would have revolted by now. It's the craziest thing in the world. Yeah. Redistribute the wealth. Yes. Poor people cannot save poor people. I mean, so I do believe in the power of people helping each other. I mean, I guess as a Black person, the history of like Black Americans and, other communities of color, marginalized communities, is people using the very limited resources that they have to help each other. People willing to say, oh, I have $40, I'll give you $20. But that is not sustainable and it's not fair. It's not right. It is immoral to ask people who have been stretched thin, who don't have jobs, right? Who are waiting on the $1,400 or the $2,000 or whatever this administration is going to send out. It is unfair to ask those people to give their little pennies to other people who are like, it's not right. But also the damage that I've seen, you know what I'm saying? It's overwhelming. And you see the TikToks. I've seen a couple of TikToks and a couple of videos of people posting of their pipes bursting and the ceiling caving in, the pipe bursting and their homes flooding. People begging for firewood and all of that. It is the amount of money that it's going to take to repair all of that damage, but the psychological toll. Anyways, it's really been crazy. I was lucky to only lose hot water, but I know people who still don't have power water on Saturday. It was insane. It was insane. People forget about the Gilded Age. Regulations exist for a reason. Government needs to be an active member of the state, right? Yes. Deregulation benefits the rich. Deregulation benefits corporations. And when people were posting their, because the price gouging is happening in the energy sector. So people get charged per day. So when the wind chill is -20, obviously you're going to use more power, more heat. And so your electric bill or your energy bill is going to go up. And so people have been posting their astronomical energy bills, $5,000 for 5 days, $2,500, $15,000 for 5 days or whatever. That's deregulation, you guys. That's the free market, right? That's the free market. The market says, oh, demand is up, so we're going to charge you more. It's not all it's cut out to be. Y'all like free markets, don't you? That's it. That's what you get. Kim, do you think you're sick because of the physical and emotional toll of all this? I think it didn't help. But really and truly, I think that I'm sick because, first of all, my immune system hasn't been exposed to shit over the past year. My friend mentioned this in a Zoom last night. Honestly, I have not been exposed to shit in the past year. I feel like my immune system is just what? But also, I do think that being in the cold, being so cold literally it was like I was sleeping out. I felt like I slept outside on Monday. It was so cold in that room. And I really feel like that triggered something. But being stressed out certainly didn't help. Okay. Okay, that's it, you guys. That's all I have. The average American is so confused about which policies will actually benefit them and which feeds their bootstrapped. Yes. So anyways, that's all I have. I'm gonna, post this where I always post it, which is send it out in the newsletter and post it on my personal YouTube. I'm feeling good. And again, I think, so one thing I will say, the government failed, but the people didn't fail. And I forgot to mention this. I mentioned really briefly that I gave to a couple of mutual aid funds over the past week. And I've seen them doing such amazing work. I follow Funky Town Fridge, where it's they give food to people who need it for free, and Feed the People Dallas, and a couple of other mutual aid organizations. And seeing the way that they've been able to activate and organize over the past week in this moment of crisis is really, really remarkable. It's really remarkable. These are private citizens, people who themselves are not rich, people who themselves have to try to take care of where they're going to sleep and their lack of power and how they're going to feed themselves, but really organizing to make sure that people get hot meals and buying hotel rooms for people. That really makes me heartened. It really makes me feel good that we understand that there's a cadre of people who are in charge, who have access to the levers of power, who are not ever going to be deeply invested in the suffering of normal people. Ted Cruz is out there trying to rehabilitate his image because he knows that it looks bad as fuck that he invited his wife, literally organized a trip to Cancun, and he invited his college roommate or whatever to fly out of the country while people are suffering. But those are not the people who are ever going to be able to really depend on. We're going to have to depend on each other and help each other. And so I've been thinking for literally since the pandemic started about how crucial it is for us to invest in each other and help each other and give our surplus resources to the people who are really going to do the work. And I'm just really amazed by all of these mutual aid societies. Like, I think I saw Feed the People Dallas say that they've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over this past week. And that's great. And so I definitely feel like we have to salute them. So I'm still a little sick. I'm still like a tiny bit, like a little bit. Anyways, that's all I have to say, guys. Thank you so much. Hi. The notion that you will one day become a millionaire is leading people to make counterproductive decisions. I don't even know if people think they're going to become a millionaire. I think that, I'm not even sure if it's the American dream. I'm going to be honest about this. I think that Americans believe lots of myths, right? And I think that foundational to the mythology of America is about individualism. It is about we do for ourselves. And especially like in the part of the country where I live, it is like really rejecting this idea of the collective. So even people who don't think that they're going to be millionaires, right? I don't think that every person who votes for Republicans think that they're going to be millionaires. I think that they think that the government is bad and that the state is bad fundamentally, despite the fact that they rely on the government and the state in many different ways. Weeks ago when I was doing research, about the January 6th insurrection, I came across this research from a social scientist at Harvard. Her name is Theda Skocpol. And she was saying that, like, ideologically, many Americans are very conservative, but in practice, like, most Americans believe in entitlements, right? Like, that's why once you give Americans something, you can't take it back. That's what conservatives don't like. Like, that's why they're always, don't give American stuff because we actually like Obamacare. We like Medicaid, like, and all of, so there is this inability to reconcile this indoctrination that government is bad and the state is bad and it's, limiting your freedom. Sorry. Oh, I'm getting stuffy. I'm still stuffed up. With the fact that we still rely on government, like in so many different facets of our lives, the roads that we drive on, power, water, and all of that kind of stuff. I just think that there's just not good education. There's just not good civic education in this country. Okay, I'm back to feeling sick again. Oh, I'm stuffed up. I can't talk. So anyways, that was it, you guys. Thank you guys so much. So many people have reached out. I had to cancel everything last week, and that's the other thing. Sorry, I have so many tangents in my mind. But that's the other thing where I'm like, oh, I'm fucked up because last week I basically had to cancel everything because I was so sick and I was just so frazzled and everywhere, but I felt enormous guilt because I was like, I'm not getting things done and I had things that I wanted to do and I'm not being productive and I've lost a whole week and it's like, girl, you lost a week because you were struggling. It's okay, Kimberly. Like, you do not have to be productive all the time. It's fine. You're fine. Anyways. All right, I have to go. This is great, guys. I will talk to you next time. Bye.